G'day, guys.
Oh, I was going to see how long we could go without saying something. Dang it.
You know that doesn't work well with this crowd.
Well, I don't know. Sam never says anything.
No,
Sam's a polite young man. He's been brought up well, unlike you.
I'm working on destroying that, though.
Oh, you keep telling me that.
Yeah, I think I'm doing a pretty good job. I don't think people realize how rude you actually are, Sam. You
Just
come
to
across
you.
as this quiet
Just to
little
you.
kid who doesn't really have much of a personality, just wants to play pool. But you get you on your own, especially in Vegas, walking the strip, and you are actually quite rude. I mean, one of the worst little 16-year-old, 17-year-old kids I've ever come across. It's very, very rude.
Well, you're the most childish 12-year-old I've ever met, so.
Wow.
He's not wrong, is he, Jim?
No, he's not. He's not only the most childish 12-year-old, 13, 14, 15, 16. The list goes on.
Jim, do you think that's why we get on so well?
Possibly, yes. Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to have a little bit of fun. Sam, we finally dragged you out. I said if you weren't on this podcast that I was going to drive down to Iowa and physically assault you. And your mom said you're on, so here you are.
Here I am.
Excited?
Yeah. Yep. Excited to
You look nice and
talk
tan.
about some pool.
Did you spend a little time somewhere?
I look tan? Oh, that's good.
You look a little tan,
Yeah, the players that stayed in the tournament are still white. The ones that went out earlier.
Oh,
ouch!
That stung a little.
Ouch!
Yeah. Yep.
But you played well.
All right.
You played well.
Tell us about it. It's the first time it's the first time you've really been outside of, let's say, a Western country, right? I mean, you've been to Europe a few times, but most of that's, a quote unquote Western country. What do you think of Saudi Arabia?
Overall, it was great. Like I said, I was not expecting it to be, insane heat. It was at least, I think we looked it up. It said it felt like 115 degrees there. I was like, holy cow. We're used to 75, 80 degrees here average in Iowa. So the heat wasn't expected. I mean, I was expected 90s, but not that high. But everybody there was friendly. I mean, we didn't understand what they were saying, but they were friendly.
You expect that they were friendly.
I think they were being friendly. I don't know.
Meanwhile, they're in their own language. Look at this gringo over here.
Yeah, probably. People there, they drove a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. The line, we kept saying that the lines on the road were just suggestions for them. Like they had 4 lanes on the road. You'd be in the second one from the left and turn right going 50 miles per hour. It was
It sounds very much like Belgium.
It was pretty crazy driving, but no accidents while we were there, so that was good. It was.
How much did you pay? Were you able to get out at a decent amount?
Well, we went to a few restaurants.
Before you even answer this, Sam, I had nothing to do with this. This is completely Ryan. Sam said he's not coming onto the podcast today if I show the plane video again. So I just let you know, I did not talk to Ryan. I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah,
we did get to go out a few times, but we didn't go anywhere except for American restaurants like Texas Roadhouse, Cheesecake Factory. Cheesecake Factory.
You're so cultural, you Americans.
Wow.
And one more, P.F. Chang's, all in the same building too.
I like how you say P.F. Chang's is American. I mean, I guess it's a heck of a lot more American than it is Chinese, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, it's restaurants that are in America.
It's a lot closer to American food than it is Chinese food. I'm pretty sure.
We never had any Saudi Arabia food. I mean, we ate at the hotel. Like the hotel breakfast was different, but other than that,
what is a stereotypical Saudi Arabian breakfast?
I didn't eat it. I was scared. I had grapefruit. I had grapefruit for breakfast. Is what I. And they had chicken nuggets. I ate
my
some of those.
God.
What else was there? The eggs were weird. They were like more liquidy. I don't know. I didn't want to try it. I didn't look around. It was weird.
Silly Sam.
They did have a player room though. The player room had Saudi Arabia snacks that everybody was just snacking on, and they had this breaded meatball, and I tried it, and I bit into it, and there was beans inside, and that was probably the most Saudi Arabia food I had there, and I did not like it. But other than that, we just.
Did you have any time? I guess, when did you get there? When did the event start, and when did you leave? Did you have any time to really go do any sightseeing?
We got there. We were supposed to be there June 1st at 10 p.m., but our flight got delayed a little bit. So we got there like June 2nd at 1 in the morning. And then June 2nd was the practice day. And that was like from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then play started the next day. So, I mean, once I got out, we had a day to sightsee. But the day after I got out, I think I didn't move for about 20 hours. I just stayed in the bed. Yeah, I just didn't feel like doing anything the day after I lost. So we didn't really sightsee. They had a couple cool attractions. Like they had a fountain in the middle of their lake that shot up 150 feet. It was pretty cool. We didn't get to go see it close up, but it was pretty cool. But other than that, we didn't really sightsee.
Do you have any other questions for him?
No, that was kind of. So you went all the way to Saudi Arabia to eat chicken nuggets and
Texas Roadhouse.
Texas Roadhouse.
And lie in your bed for 20 hours.
I'm very, very surprised that they had Texas Roadhouse.
I'm glad you enjoyed the experience. Can't wait for next year.
I
can't wait. I can't wait to see this kid in Hanoi.
Oh gosh.
What are you gonna eat there?
Yeah, he'll be taking his own sandwiches with
McDonald's.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Jesus. You can go with Philip to McDonald's. Yeah.
He'll be packing like a goldfish and I don't know, fruit roll-ups.
Oh, I'm just hoping. I mean, I want to try food in Vietnam, but I'm kind of scared of the language barrier. So
I'd be way more worried about food in Vietnam than I would in Saudi Arabia. I mean, if you're avoiding food in Saudi Arabia, Vietnam is going to be a whole other level. That's like they don't even disguise what it is you're eating. You know, if you're
like chicken feet and
exactly,
you got
you're eating an insect, it still looks like an entire insect.
Yeah, you'll have some insects, you'll have some chicken feet, you'll have.
I was talking to Sky about Hanoi, and he said that they went to a restaurant that just served pho. That's all they served there, and that
the pho.
I say pho, but. Anyways, while they were there, they saw about a dead rat, about that long. He said that's excluding the tail. He said about 3 feet away from where they cooked the stuff, and he said they picked it up in a bin and put it closer to where they cooked the stuff. So I don't know if it got cooked. I don't know if it got thrown away. I don't know. That's Sky's story.
Yeah,
I probably ordered it.
And you were worried about Saudi.
Yeah. Sky's probably like, I'll take that. It's fresh.
It's fresh. Yeah. Just shave it. Yeah.
But
no, that's awesome.
We didn't know. I mean, we knew that they used a different currency in Saudi Arabia, but I didn't know like how it compared to the U.S. dollars. And so we got to Texas Roadhouse, and one of the steaks was 400 SAR, and we were like, holy crap. But that's only like $50 US. I didn't know the difference. I know, in London they use
these are the things that you generally look up.
You're supposed to look up. Yeah, did not look it up. Yeah, we didn't know what outlet they used either.
There's a standard list before traveling to foreign countries, and it's a short list. But checking the exchange rate and what kind of currency they use is probably one of the more important ones.
we didn't look up what kind of outlets they use either. We got lucky enough to have one. It was the same one that they use in London. So got lucky there.
Such a newbie.
Such a newbie. Jim, you've never been to Saudi Arabia, right?
Nope, it's unlikely I'll ever go. Dubai I've been to a couple of times, 3-4 times. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't sell. Did Texas Roadhouse, could you buy alcohol there? Could you get like a beer or anything?
There's no alcohol. Me and Sky.
Very difficult in those countries. Yeah.
Sky and I at PF Chang's ordered 2 beers, 0.0% alcohol. I tried 1 sip and spit it out. It was disgusting.
But what about at the venue? Was there could you buy alcohol at the venue?
No, there's just no alcohol there.
There was nowhere at all where you could get a beer. Anyway,
zero. Yeah, I mean, like the World
Cup?
Because
Dubai has a zero tolerance, but they have an area that they've designated for tourists called the Irish Village. As long as you're within the confines of that area, you're allowed to drink and act like a European tourist idiot. But you're not allowed, once you get out of there, being drunk on the street or whatever, or being loud, obnoxious, and drunk, you'll get arrested for it. So as soon as you get out the doors or outside the confines, you better get in a taxi and get to your hotel and not be on the street. And that's the way it works in Dubai. I thought maybe it would work the same in Saudi Arabia.
There may have been a designated area for that, but not that I knew of. So I don't know.
Because that's something that Matchroom have got a 10-year contract now with Saudi for the World Pool Championships. I mean, it may sound a little bit kind of, a bit, how do you say that? Some people may find it a little bit weird, but that could be a breaking point for a lot of people to go to these championships. They want people to come. They want people to support the event and to come and watch the event. I personally, not that I'm some sort of raging alcoholic, but I'm not going to come.
You're pretty close.
All right. Not all the time. If I decide to drink, then we're drinking, okay? But until that, but it doesn't happen all the time. But I'm not going to come to a tournament in Saudi Arabia to support the World Championships if I can't have a beer anywhere. That for me would make it not worth even going. I wouldn't even consider going, So I think there's probably a lot of people like that,
Yeah,
that will avoid events if they just even can't get a beer somewhere,
I mean, everything on the menu that I read on the alcohol section, it just said 0.0%. So I don't know if there may have been, like I said, but I'm not sure.
It might be good for us, Jim. Maybe we can go and get a 7 or 8 days worth of detox. We probably need that.
No.
Never mind.
No, we can make a joke about this, but it would be an issue for sport.
It is a real thing. It is a real thing.
Events throughout the world, a lot of it is dictated by people want to go. They want to be on holiday. They want to enjoy themselves. They want to have a beer. If you're talking
the US
about
Open, they had
going to sport events, they're not going to go to it. People are just not.
And they understand that. Yeah. At least at the US Open, they had at least 3 bars set up at the US Open. So they understand that their viewers want to have a beer and be able to enjoy themselves while they're watching the pool. And I don't know, I at the U.S. Open, I've never heard of any incidences where people get too drunk and be belligerent or anything like that. It happens at the Moscone Cup every day. I mean, nearly every 15 minutes.
It's almost encouraged at Moscone.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of it's definitely part of the culture that's built there. But no, I mean, they definitely understand that the people want to have a drink around the rest of the place, but they're also not going to turn down $1 million prize fund, and who knows what's going to. I'm really curious to see what happens next year, whether or not they increase it. I mean, in an ideal world, and I don't know anything about the terms of their event over there, but I would like to assume that each year is going to be a little bit progressive. Maybe next year's 1.2 million, then 1.4, then 1.6. Maybe something like that, where they're increasing the prize fund a little bit each year.
I don't know. I'd be quite happy to see them stick at the $1 million and have other events where they start to increase the brunt money. I think it's. We've talked about this before. As much as I love the World Champ, I think it was an amazing event. I mean, we'll talk about the matches and stuff like that. I think it ticked every single box. But there's there's one of two things needs to happen going forward, and that's either the ranking system is changed where it's just points for event and not money that's the ranking, or the other events have to have more money in them, so there's not such a big dispute.
Because there's zero chance that Eklund is not being invited.
Nobody should. I mean, congratulations to Fedor for winning. Congratulations to Kachi for his second place. But nobody should be qualifying for every single. I mean, this is literally every single event, invitational event, based on 1 week of pool. That shouldn't be the case. And that's what's going to happen now for Kachi and Fedor. They're guaranteed into every single event. The Kachi's in the Reyes Cup, the Mosconi Cup, Masters, World Cup pool. He's got everything just based on that 1 week, and that shouldn't be the case, in my opinion. It should be based. The 2-year ranking is for a reason. It's for 2 years. Yep. Fedor's world number one now, and he cannot be dethroned now for 2 years. Basically. Yeah.
Oh well, he can next year if he doesn't win it. Right?
Whoever
wins it next year. Whoever wins it next year,
yeah. It would have to be it would have to be a Kachi or something like that to dethrone him.
I think what is it? 250,000. You have to win basically the next 5 Matchroom events to pass that.
More.
Well, one of them's the U.S. Open, which is 60,000, right?
Yeah, but the other ones are 30,000.
But still, yeah. I mean, it's pretty.
But again, I don't want to be negative on it because I thought it was a fantastic event, and I think
it's incredible. I mean,
absolutely amazing. I haven't been so hooked on matches as. First of all, just for Fedor, I got to give Fedor. I mean, the way he grinded through some matches there. Every time I looked at my telephone to check the thing, Fedor's going out, and then he scrapes through, and then the next one, shit, Fedor's in trouble. He's going out this time. Nope, he's through again, and every single time. Then against Meling as well, and then I mean, it was just an incredible performance for him to keep grinding, and then of course Hill. He finishes.
I thought he was going out in the round of 32. He was up 10 to maybe 6 against Chen Yulong, and ended up getting Hill, and he ended up winning the match, obviously. But like
there was moments in every single match where you thought, ooh, he could go out here, and it just didn't. Something would happen, a dry break or whatever, and he got back to the table just at the right time and managed to close out the matches, and. That's what you need. That's what creates a champion. I mean, if Kachi had done it, he'd have done it a completely different way. If Kachi had won it, he'd have said that was the most convincing win that anyone's ever had. He's battering everybody the entire tournament.
Oh yeah. Oh Jesus. I think they said some stat on it in the finals. I want to say like Fedor by the end of it was up like positive 10 games or something like that throughout his matches, and Kachi was like positive like 30.
That was crazy. I think to get to the final, Fedor played like 30 racks more than Kachi to get to the final. And but I got to say, I mean, that from 13-9 down to 14-13 ahead for Kachi. I mean, I put it on Facebook as possibly the most impressive 30 minutes of 9-ball I think I've ever seen in my life. That was just insanely good under the situation that he was in, the pressure he's in, he was playing and looking like he was just playing in any other match. It's just so difficult to even comprehend that anyone can do that. It's just weird. I mean, he just it was mind-boggling the pool that he played for half an hour to get to 14-13 ahead, and then but again, what's happened the whole tournament? 14-13 ahead, dry break. Fedor takes his chance and then wins the title. Amazing stuff. Fantastic. I thought it was a fantastic event. And one thing I'm so glad about is this tournament was talked about so much beforehand because of the money that's in it. But it will be talked about in years to come because of the final that was played and not about the money that was in it. So the matches that were played and the pool that was played has overshadowed the fact that there was so much money in it, which is exactly what we needed. So, I mean, I thought it was brilliant. I only got good things to say. That was fantastic.
I thought for sure Kachi was going to win when he hit that 2-rail kick on the 2-9. I thought, all the momentum was going his way. And then, but Fedor just played a great rack to get it Hill. Fedor made a great out. So, it's just overall a great match.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Nate, you watched it?
Yeah, I mean, I from start to finish, it's what can you say?
It took a long time for 29 racks, didn't it?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, you
do
have two of the slowest
the ad
players.
breaks, but
Well, you have two of the slowest players on tour. I mean, at the end of it, like even the commentators were saying, like, how many times? I bet that they were under their 5 seconds in the shot clock when they pulled the trigger more often than when they weren't.
You've had the beeps almost every shot.
Every single shot. I bet. I mean, I'm making stuff up at this point, but I bet at least 50% of the times when they pulled the trigger finally to shoot, it was under 5 seconds for both of them.
But you know what that shows? That they both manage the shot clock. They manage the shot clock exceptionally well because they know when it's coming, they know when they're ready. So that's consistency within your routine, that you're always on the beeps. You're down before the beeps start, you hear the beeps going and you shoot. That's consistency within your play. I think Kachi manages the clock better than anybody, I think, and I think Fedor's learning it now as well.
I just unofficially just kind of added up the Fedor's games. By the end of it, he ended up 11 games. Plus in a tournament that plus 11.
Wins
I'm like, are you kidding me? Plus 11. He didn't get even. He didn't get even until his sixth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. His fifth match.
Yeah, because he was minus 6.
How bad he got beat.
Yeah, he was minus 6 after his first. Yeah.
It took him 5 matches to make up a 6-match deficit. Yeah. That's insane. Like he had what? 1, 2, 3 matches, 4 matches that were hill.
But you know
and another 3 more that were within 2.
You know what that is? When those matches happen, continually close matches and continually somebody winning, that's an indication that the person has an aura, that they are a name, that they have put themselves in a position where they're going to win those matches more often than they're going to lose them because their opponent shits the bed or puts in a bad stroke or has a bad break.
Reputation wins. I call them reputation wins.
Exactly. They have that advantage that when it gets close, that they're always just still the favorite because the opponent might just put in a bad stroke or a bad break or, you saw the dry break that Kachi had at 14-13. He had it way too thick. You saw the white coming up the table, and he was breaking so well up to that. I think he had maybe 4 or 5 that he absolutely nailed them. And then he's breaking on the hill and he doesn't hit it as well as he's hit the previous 4 or 5. It's fine margins, and I think Fedor has got that something now that he's people know he's Fedor. He's got that aura. Filler's got it as well. Shane's got it as well. They have that aura that there's a lot of top players out there, but they don't quite have that extra something that's it's intangible that they just have. And I think that Fedor's one of those guys that's got it now. Yeah. Amazing.
Oh man.
What a player.
Yeah.
This is insane. I'm adding up Kachi's.
Oh, Kachi will be about plus 30, something like that.
Oh.
Plus 40, probably, yeah. 40.
Well, currently, I mean, I'm just going through right now. He's currently at 73-30.
And then just the -1 at the end.
I mean, that's absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm. Kachi was destroying everybody. Yeah.
Oh, and I even got it wrong.
At the end of the day, you can destroy everybody, but you've got to beat everybody.
You got to beat everybody.
Would you rather destroy 6 and lose to 1, or would you rather just beat all 7? Fedor beat all 7. Was it 7 or well? He would have to play an extra one. He's beaten 8 or 9, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, he ended up by my unofficial count, quick count, 87-44.
Yeah.
So he ended up 43 balls in head and didn't win the tournament.
Yeah.
Or 43 games, sorry.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing and brilliant. What I loved about this was there was so many storylines. Kachi and his injury and coming back and playing in the world final. He even says himself, he's still not 100%. He still has certain motions and movements that he doesn't quite have yet in his hand. So for him to come back after his accident, Wojtek Szewczak getting to the semi-final when he's not a WNT pro, what kind of problems does that create with the rankings? If he goes on, imagine if he goes on to win it, and then the world champion is not getting invited to the rest of the events because he wasn't a WNT pro. Imagine how the headaches that would cause for people. Those kind of things, those storylines, the controversy between Jonas and Jeffrey, with the sharking or not sharking and that kind of stuff, and
that match was painful to watch.
Yeah, but these are all these storylines. It had everything this tournament. It had the battle of the Brits for the last surviving Brit between Elliot and Chris that went all the way to the end. And the two Poles playing each other in the quarterfinal, Wojtek and Victor. Victor, who's just left the Polish Federation to go solely with Matchroom, and Wojtek, who is still with the Polish Federation. So if one should be winning it,
and he's not going to get any of those ranking points
for Matchroom, it should be Victor that's winning and getting the Matchroom points, but it's not. It's Wojtek that wins it and goes to the semi-finals. It's Emily in the back room thinking, "Holy crap, we can't have Wojtek being world champion because we've already said that he's not a WNT pro and he's not going to get any ranking points."
It's so disappointing
It was
too.
just everything. Every day was just something new and something to look forward to and saying, "Oh, I can't wait to see what happens next. This is all getting juicy and nice. I like this."
You know what I'd really like to see, and this is my bias because anybody who's watched the podcast for a long time obviously knows Wojtek Szewczak is my favorite player by far.
Wow.
I would like to see.
You picked him at the start of the tournament.
I did.
Yeah.
I think, Matchroom kind of made the decision last year to allow Fedor to play for the U.S. They obviously have a little bit of room in their rankings and in their decision making to be able to kind of do what they want. I would really like to see Matchroom right now put an olive branch out there to the players who did sign, who had a decent showing, and just say, "Hey, I know that you didn't choose us to begin with. I'm hoping that this event right here shows you what we're about. Here's your chance. We'll let you come into it, keep your ranking points, and you can join our tour." That would be a giant stab into the eye of the WPA, which I know they would love to do. Maybe it would pull Wojtek Szewczak. Maybe it would pull Daniel Maciol. Maybe it would pull a few of the players that didn't sign, the last kind of 7 to 10 players that are, quote unquote world quality players, over into the Matchroom side of things and say, maybe you didn't believe it in the beginning. Maybe you had some reservations, whatever. Come on over. No questions asked. We'll take care of you. And this is your chance. I would really like to see that.
Well, I think something like that will happen. But what I think is more likely to happen is that when the Q school gets set up, that players like Wojtek and Daniel, they will be told, "Listen, you don't have to do the Q school. If you want to sign the contract, we let you in right now." Because the ranking that you would have, if you had a ranking, is enough to be in the top 64, say, whatever.
So then where do you put them? Where do you put them if you do that? Do you give them those ranking points?
No. You're going to have a Q tour for, say, 32 players. So 32 players from the 128 will have to go into the Q school, and 32 players, or there'll be a Q school to get to fill 32 spots. But if you have 5 players that are highly ranked, you say, okay, you're all playing for 27 spots. You're not playing for 32 anymore, because 5 of them were given to the guys who had performed so well that they would be on the ranking anyway.
But how do you place them amongst their peers then? You just start them out. With the rankings being basically money at this point, if you don't give them this money that they've created from this event, how do you place them? Do you just say, "All right"? Well,
no. Listen, you already know Wojtek's got 50,000. Wojtek's got a ranking of 50,000 at the moment. Doesn't matter what happens.
More than that, but yes.
No, but okay, but a minimum of 50,000.
Yes.
Whatever happens for the rest of the season, he's going to be in the top 32. There's no way he's not going to be in the top 32 with that 50 grand.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah,
sure. So you can turn around and say anyone who had a money built up that gets you in the top 32 is automatically through Q school. They can do that. They can do anything they want like that. If the money you won over the season in the 2 events that you're allowed to play in, because that's the rule, I think, you're allowed to play in 2 open events. The World Championship, he was given a wild card, so I'm assuming that's not part of it. But then, if you've gathered enough ranking points that it would put you in the top 32 if you were credited with those points, then no Q school, you are automatically one of the new players, something like that. That's
Welcome to the podcast, Ray.
Morning, gents. How are you?
Just
What's up, Sam?
Yeah, good.
Morning.
Just to catch you up,
you're looking incredibly positive for somebody who's got 3 7/8 pockets on the table.
I'm running out, pal.
I expected the beer to be fully grey by now, pale faced.
I'm running out. I don't know what you're talking about.
Running out.
Yes, just to catch you up where we were, Ray. I was saying I would like to see Matchroom reach out to the players who did not sign the contract initially to be a WNT pro, and say, all right, I know that you had hesitancy in the beginning. This is kind of we're gonna extend an olive branch to you and say you were hesitant to begin with. Hopefully, after what you've seen with the World Championship, that we're giving you an opportunity. You don't like it.
No, I think it's unnecessary, really. I mean, Matchroom's laid it out. They have their 128, so those 128 are committed. They're sailing the ship. They're doing the best job in the modern era. Like, they're actually doing something that is making people who quit playing pool 15, 20 years ago excited about getting their cues dusted off and playing again. And they just got to keep doing what they're doing. They just put on the best World Championship ever created in 9-ball ever. And, I think from all standards, they've just been incredibly successful. So I don't think they have to do anything. I think players that
no, and I'm not saying they have to do it, but wouldn't it be a nice stick to the eye of the WPA if the 7 players that never signed are now completely?
Wouldn't it even be a bigger statement of how important it is to commit to the WNT?
Yeah.
If you don't let them in and you say, you had your opportunity to sign with us for 1 year. You didn't do it. You're going to have to wait till the end of the year. No flowers for you, no bonuses for you. And anybody else who's in doubts about whether to join us or not, this is what happens if you don't.
The real stick in the eye of the WPA is going to be the increased number of people who are doing the Victor Zielinski thing, which is to say, I'm tired of being held handcuffed. This is where I want to go. This is less stressful. It's more lucrative for me. And this is what I choose to do with my career. I think Matchroom just has to keep doing that. And they give these players the opportunities to play. I mean, Wojciech was a good example. He came in as a wild card. You know what I mean? So he's kind of towing the line between WPA because of his federational obligations and still doing well. So he's doing what's best for him. And a guy like Victor, and again, this is going to affect more the European guys and the Asian guys than anybody else because of how strong the federations are there, and how much influence and support they have because of those federations. So they really have to make a decision. But Matchroom doesn't have to do anything to like diminish WPA. WPA is diminishing themselves. So Matchroom's just got to keep offering incredible opportunities to players like Sam and other people who can get in via wildcards or earn their spot on the tour. And that's it. They have their 128. Everybody else is working to get on the 128 and by extension, the top 100. So they get an opportunity to compete in the World Championships next year, because this is year 1 of 10 that have been signed in obligation by Saudi. It's only going to get better. You know what I mean? Like, money might go up. The opportunity is there. And so we see these huge swings in rankings between, last week and this week, and how consequential being in the top 100 is for somebody who potentially does really well. I think it's a really exciting time. Honestly, WPA is irrelevant as it relates to Matchroom. Matchroom's just going to do their thing. They're on their course. Their course is charted. And even talking about, Matchroom wants to get back, like, they don't really, they're like a fly on this elephant that's just kind of like, doing its thing. So I don't really think it's a part of the conversation with any kind of like,
all right, Sam, take my side.
Mean.
No, I agree with them.
How was it for you, Sam? How was it being over there? You
it was amazing.
Right? As a wild card.
It was great.
Well,
I didn't get to do any sightseeing or anything like that. I mean, we didn't try any of their local cuisine or anything like that. But overall, it was great. You know, I was a little scared when we were in the Ubers. They drive a little crazy over there, you know. Like I don't think they have any idea what a turn signal is. Like they'll merge.
No, I think it's pretty much like biggest
Yeah,
vehicle
something
has right
like
away.
that.
That's
Like
pretty much how
they'll
it-
merge into a highway, people going 60 miles per hour, not even care that there's people going that fast, and expect them to get over for them. You know, like I was a little scared when we were in the car, you know, but we got through it. I was a little,
Cool.
you know, scared on the flight there. I don't know if you saw the post on Facebook, but there was a hole in the wing,
Sorry.
and I'm already terrified of planes. And right out my window, there's a hole in the plane. I wanted to get off, but I didn't know if there was going to be another flight going to Jeddah. You know, matches started like in a day and a half.
Right.
I just kind of wanted to get there.
Did your cues get
Yep.
there with you
Skies
on time and
didn't,
everything?
but
Have any? The Skies didn't. I think Scott's didn't get there for a while.
two tournaments in a row for
I was wondering
Sky.
what
Yeah, he's got the worst luck.
brutal.
Better
But
off just like
overall-
taping him to his leg from now on. Make sure he has him with him.
Yeah. So, what have you guys talked about so far besides
Mostly
besides
just
that
the
stuff?
event itself. The incredible finals. I mean, what a finals, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, it's given
Unbelievable.
the circumstances,
Yeah,
it's the best match of pool I've ever watched. It had drama. I mean, there was leads,
Yeah,
not big leads, but there were leads, and then obviously the comeback, the last 30 minutes of that match for Eklund, and I mean, I feel like that shot's going to haunt him for the rest of the time. That thin off that ball, and Carl's. I mean, how good is Carl at calling it? He's saying, if you don't have enough spin on this ball, you might end up scratching before he even shoots the ball, and he says it at contact, like.
In that position, it's hard to overspin, so just don't underspin. You know what I mean? And he underspun.
I think he
ball
hit it too
and-
thin. Personally, if you look at it, I think he scored it too thin.
Well,
Is it-
but if you have another
Yeah,
tip
there-
of
he
spin, it
had
doesn't
room-
matter.
Yeah, but he's looking for more separation. He's looking to get the three further up table, and the three hardly moves. So I think he's undercut it as well. It's not so much. It's not all the spin. He's undercut that. He's hit that a lot thinner than he wanted to. I think.
Yeah, it's the spin for that hit, but he had a little bit of leeway to go a little thicker and make sure.
If you go
I
thick,
think-
because he almost didn't scratch because he almost caught the ball on the way to the pocket. And what he really wants to be doing is catching the short rail behind those balls. Then he takes everything. Then he doesn't
100%,
contact the
yeah.
ball, and he doesn't go anywhere near the pocket if he goes to the short rail. So he's hit that way thinner than what he wanted to.
I think with these two guys, it's like two different roads to the finals too. Like Fedor, this was like grind city from the beginning for him. You know,
Well,
for whatever reason.
Another
he
thing
just
that we had
wasn't
talked
settled.
about before, right? And I actually added this up. By the end of it, Kachi had won 87 Raxx and lost 44, and Fedor had won 80 and lost 69, plus 11 games.
Yeah, he was really.
And Kachi's plus 43.
Really grinding.
Incredible.
Yeah. Kachi had a great, Ronnie just looked so dominant that it was like, you kind of expect, like, I thought he was definitely going to make it out of the top half, and out of the bottom, it was kind of up in the air because you always expect Federer to get there, you know what I mean? Because he's just so good, but he was struggling so much throughout the tournament, just fatigue and, who knows what else was bothering him. And for him to really show up, I had mentioned that he was basically due to have a really great set, you know what I mean? Because of how much, like, you're just sitting in there fighting. Eventually things are going to click for you. And he had a pretty decent set against Wojciech, and then started out great. I mean, he was up 5-0, 5-1, something like that at the beginning of this set with Kachi. And, Kachi's such a champion. He's so cool under the pressure, and he's been there in big moments that, you expected him to get all the way across the line.
I think Kachi's the only player that I can honestly look at and never feel like I've seen him nervous. He's never looked uncomfortable at any point in any match ever.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a killer for sure. He's definitely a killer. Those guys are great players, and I don't know, pretty unbelievable final. You know what I mean? And then of course it goes to Hill. Imagine Hill, and you're playing one rack for 150,000.
Or were they?
Wow. Well, who knows? You're not supposed to, by the way. You're not supposed to make savers, by the letter of the law.
I don't think that they did.
So,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think there are players who absolutely would do that in a heartbeat. I do not think either one of these are one of them.
Yeah.
Fedor's probably.
Listen, if you were Matchroom, if you're one of the press guys at Matchroom and you're writing a script for this tournament, that was basically it. What else could you put in there to make it the perfect scenario for advertising the game? I mean, I even enjoyed the saxophone player. I thought it was Conor McGregor for a while.
I think the only way that they could have been any better would be if there was going to be some big Asian player versus some big European player, and then you could really push the Efren Reyes Cup as in like, this is not the first time we're going to see these two. They're both going to be in the Efren Reyes Cup in 3 months time or whatever, 4 months time.
Mosconi's still the number one. USA, Europe. That was the way it was.
It is, but you don't need to build the Mosconi Cup. That's already there. I mean, no, I don't even think that they even mentioned one time that these two are going to be facing off at the Mosconi Cup. I mean, they said obviously that they'll both qualify at some point in time, but they're not pushing it like they would the Efren Reyes Cup just because it's a new event. I mean, that's the only way I would think that maybe it could get a little bit better, but I don't think you'd ever want to trade Fedor Gorst for, who are you going to put in there? Carlo Biagio.
I think
Biagio went 2-0. But
the whole thing just went perfect for match. It got a little bit squeaky bum, I think, for them with Wojtek getting so far, but other than that, I think the thing went perfect. The junior event was very, very good as well.
Yeah,
Felix Vogel winning that, and he'd got to the final of one of the Euro Tours not so long ago as well. Okay, the Euro Tour has been watered down slightly with a lot of players that say they don't need to play it anymore, so they won't. But still, what an incredible player he is. He's going to be on the main tour very soon as well.
How good was that 8-ball?
How many surprises were? How many big names went 2 and out or didn't get to the last? Yeah. It was madness. Every day I looked at it, I thought, this is just stupid. What's going on here?
Well, I'll name some of the players that went 2 and out. But I mean, just going back to that match one more time, because I'm kind of watching it on the side here. How good was that 8-ball? I mean, Fedor came up way short on that 8-ball into the side. The last 8-ball has to go up table and comes back down and gets dead straight in. I mean, could you imagine that shot?
It's my favorite shot.
What if that shot's another or if that ball's another let's say foot, and he's got to do the back cut on a blind pocket, or if it's another 2 feet up table and he has to shoot kind of a tricky long
come on that. Don't overdo it, Nate.
It's $150,000 shot, Jim.
And if he doesn't get out, you say he dogged it. That's how easy it was. If he doesn't get out, you say he's dogged it.
Sure, but
that's it. Dogging it means you missed an easy chance.
Sure,
that's not.
Is there really anything easy when you have that tough of a shot or that tough of the circumstances? I mean, could it get any harder?
Oh God, I'm not going to go there. That was it was a natural angle. He just had to play the right speed. He could have played anything but long, and he's a winner there.
Probably. How many shots have you taken in your life for a world championship and 250,000?
I'd take those 2 balls out, though.
Jim, you'd be crapping your pants before you even got down on the ball.
I'd still pot them, though. There'd be a horrible mess behind me, but I'd still be able to.
No, I think it was an awesome match, and it was crazy
amazing.
It's crazy that Fedor got up, and didn't dog it really for to get to double hill. A lot of guys, if you're really dealing with the fatigue.
That was the impressive one. The rack to get to 14-14 was more impressive than the rack to win it.
Yeah.
Because he had that tricky transition 3-4 and came with a good shot on the 4.
Well, he was up. I think he was up 14, or I think he was up 13-9, and next thing you know, he's down 14-13.
Yeah.
And Kachi breaks dry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's been the whole tournament for Fedor. Looks like his opponent's on the ready to take him, and then a dry break. Meling did it. They all did it. Just gave him that one more opportunity. Just one opportunity too much. It's the Fedor effect, I think. But hey, what happens? He pots that 9-ball, last rack, throws his cue on the table. What happens if he hits the cue ball?
I was about to ask that.
I think this is the kind of stuff. Like, I understand the
He didn't throw his cue on the table. He threw it on
Yeah,
the ground.
no, it was on the
He threw it
table.
on the table, mate. He
It
threw
was
it
on
in the
the
middle
table?
of the table.
He
He
threw it on the
just
table.
missed the cue ball. He just
Oh, is that
missed
right?
the cue ball.
I thought he
think
like dropped the cue.
No, he threw it straight onto the middle of the table. When he threw it, I thought, ooh.
He did like a mic drop onto the table.
Yeah.
I think this is the kind of stuff where like referee discretion is super important. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Well,
But the referee,
No,
but the referee has to call a foul.
No. I don't think it would be anyways because he played a stop shot on the 9 ball. So
No,
once
listen,
the last
maybe-
ball's done rolling, the
my
game's
question
over.
was my question was what happens if he fouls doing that? And I'm not talking about whether he did or whether the cue ball was stopped or whether
Oh,
it was
it wasn't
nowhere
a
near.
stop shot
What
either.
happens if you throw your cue on the table like that and you touch the ball while it's still in motion? It's a foul. The referee has to call
definitely.
it.
Has to.
Okay, Kachi comes to the table. He just taps the white ball and says, "Ball in hand." There you go. He's not going to take it, is he? But
I mean, that's the whole point. It's like we're at a point where it's like, like,
it's a risky one. I mean, there's players around who would say, "Hey, thank you very much." You know?
Well, I mean, I don't know, dude.
then that's like the scene from Cars. Have you seen the animated Pixar movie Cars?
No, I'm a grown man.
Well, there's a scene
I've
where
seen it.
there's this
Sam's
race.
not.
There's like a race that that resolves like this championship cup race. There's 3 cars racing, and one guy knocks an old car off the guy who's going to retire after the race, knocks him off the track, and he's destroyed. And then the main character just brakes, lets that other guy go past him, and then goes over and helps the other guy finish the race, pushes him across the line. And then everybody cheers for the guy who did that, and the guy that won, who's trying to celebrate and be a dick, everybody's like, "This guy sucks,"
Yeah.
Who cares? So you get to this point where like there's ethics that kind of supersede the whole stuff, and I think that's
Yeah,
bigger.
but not everybody has those ethics.
Yeah, well, then they're scumbags. You know what I mean? That's why they don't win.
Yeah.
That's why they're not in that position.
I mean, I'm looking at the outcome, and unfortunately, with the cameras, it kind of like cuts away.
You don't really see it. Yeah.
Does anybody know that live streamed? Like the finals?
There is a video that's online from directly down the table from the corner pocket looking across the shot, so perpendicular to the shot.
Yeah.
And it looks like his cue sort of bounces over the cue ball and into
Really?
the long rail.
He throws it. The
He
shaft
throws
goes
it in that direction away from the cue ball.
but he did put left spin on the cue.
On the cue, very much. He did give a yes.
Yeah. So
But,
it turned away.
yeah. But yes, it's one. Guys, just throw your cues on the floor, or throw them in the crowd to us fans, and we'll gladly take them. And
Darren had that hilarious. Darren had a pretty incredible pop off because he almost lost a big championship match, but he ends up winning double hill, and he grabs it and goes, and he's like chucks it like King Kong, throws it on the ground, and
Yeah, Niels Fine did it in the Moscone Cup, made the last 9 ball in the Moscone Cup, and he threw his cue on the table, and the referee picked it up off the table, and it was rolling, or the cue ball was rolling towards the cue, and the referee just
was that Nigel? Was that Nigel?
Yeah, just picked up off the table because all the players were about to jump on the table, so he thought, oh, Niels' cue, I better get that out of the way, but the cue ball was running towards the cue.
I think that was Nigel Reese, right?
Yeah.
So
he picked up to protect Niels' cue, not because it was going to be a foul or anything, but
he's the GOAT,
He is the GOAT. He can do whatever he wants. Yeah.
No, I'm saying Nigel Reese is the greatest.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Nigel Reese. Yeah.
He's. But that's the kind of thing I think from a referee like that you'd never even contemplate that kind of thing.
No, and the American team also said, listen, the cue ball was going nowhere near a pocket, so it was never an issue for them. And I think Kachi would have been exactly the same. But if the referee calls foul, then Kachi's required to come to the table and play a shot. Yeah, okay. Sure. You just slam the cue ball into the corner pocket and say, oh, there you go, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you a hypothetical situation? Do you think he would?
Do I think Kachi would just slam the cue ball in the corner pocket?
Yeah.
No, he might slam it in the middle.
Well, do you think he would? You think he would give the win back to Fedor?
Yes.
Ray, what do you think?
I would. I mean, that's just me. If I think it's a BS call, but
Sam.
Probably. I mean, it would get him more likes than not. I mean,
I think if Fedor's made the 9, Kachi knows that it's over, and then his cue hits the 9 ball. It's not a
Well-
it's not a foul like you've double hit on your stroke. You've made it and you've thrown your cue. I mean,
that sends us back to when Kristina Zlateva did that with Tyler. Tyler never gave it back. Do you think? I'll tell you what. If that 9 ball then gets spotted, I think Eklund Kachi is probably going to take the shot clock to think about it.
I would like to think
you're talking about 150,000 plus a world championship.
Hey, he's already. Hey, don't forget, he's got 2 10-bar world championships.
Yeah, he has to constantly remind people of that. Apparently,
I wonder how much that cost.
That was great.
That was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, because I think that the commentator had said a line like, "Oh, this is like your first world championship." Obviously, he's talking about the world 9-ball, but
well, I don't know how many different times in that match where the commentators were pretty over exaggeratory on a lot of different things, and I don't know how many different times the commentators would be like, "This is the biggest match of Kachi's career." There's nothing, and don't get me wrong, I guess that's true. But then they say like,
this both of their careers, trust me.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like they were saying that back in the semifinals, like they were saying that in the quarterfinals, like.
Yeah,
I mean the amount of like disregard matchroom commentators have towards any other event that's on the calendar that's not their own is. I mean, I get it. They think that their events are the cream of the crop, and the rest of them are just afterthoughts at best.
I mean, let's be
to a degree they kind of are, but
let's be perfectly honest and not to be disrespectful to the other events that are going around. But these commentators don't actually watch any other pool. Do you think they care? They don't watch. They don't know. They're unaware of any other pool that's getting played because they just don't watch.
You're talking about the color commentators. There's no way that JJ and Carl aren't watching more pool. Yeah, but yeah,
JJ is because he's a Carl probably not so much. Probably occasionally, Scott's probably involved in more matches than he watches, and the other guys. They don't care. They're not watching pool when they're not involved in it, so they don't know anything else that's going on.
Yeah, probably true. I definitely don't disagree with that. But I think Carl watches a lot more pool than you probably give him credit for.
I think Carl probably watches more English.
He at least follows along to it.
He probably watches more English 8-ball than he watches 10-ball or 8-ball or straight pool.
But I'll guarantee he still follows along with
it. I think you'd be surprised. I probably don't think he does. To be honest,
honestly, I think. Well, I'll tell you what, Kachi, for whatever you want to say about him, he is very quiet, and he has shown a couple times in the past where he did not call fouls on himself when he could have. I don't know that he would do that. I mean, during the Predator event, his hand. There was I think maybe the Premier League pool or something like that. His hand dropped on top of a ball. The ref didn't see it. He jerked his hand. Nobody saw it. He kept shooting. He did the same thing during one of the Ghost tournaments for the Predator. I don't necessarily agree with you that he would just shoot it into the corner pocket. I don't know that he would or not.
Thankfully, it didn't get.
We don't have to worry about it.
We don't have to discuss it. I would like to think that if the situation arose with
he's a pretty quiet guy. I mean, I don't think a lot of people have a great sense of what his character or what his personality is. I don't really see him talking much outside of, the mandatory matchroom interviews and stuff like that.
He keeps himself to himself. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he does. But I just don't know that I agree that he would do that. He's had opportunities in the past for significantly less of ramifications, and he has not done what you're saying he would do in this situation.
Yeah, this situation is different than making a foul and not calling it on yourself.
Why? How? I mean, I understand that literally it is different, but like they both require you to do something that you deem as correct, and I've never seen him call a foul on himself. I've seen other people do that, and I would never question whether or not they would do it. I've never seen him call a foul on himself and quote unquote do the right thing.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We'd like to think, right?
I know him pretty well, but not well enough to make that call. I would like to think he wouldn't. I know he's made errors in the past, but I think the way he handled the defeat in the final suggests to me that suggests to me that he was aware that Fedor, played well enough to win. He played good, but Fedor played well enough to actually deserve to win the thing. You get some matches where Kachi plays, if he doesn't play up to the standard he feels, and he feels like they've won, they've beaten him because of him rather than they've beaten him because they are that good. But I think he recognises that Fedor is good enough to win against Kachi when Kachi is playing well. I don't think Kachi gives that credit to a great deal of players on the tour. I think it's a very small number of players that Kachi will acknowledge they can beat me when they're playing well, and I'm also playing well. I don't know. I thought he accepted the defeat very well. Very gracious. I thought. Just a brilliant event. Brilliant event. Really enjoyed it. Yep. And I'm glad to see. I'll be glad to see Kachi back on the Mosconi Cup. I think he deserves to be there. I think he's, I think it's time for him to bury that. The whole idea of him not being able to play in a team. I think it's time for him to bury that once and for all. So I hope he goes there and absolutely smashes it. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. We've talked mostly about the finals and mostly about Kachi, mostly about Fedor at this point. I mean, was there any standouts? Well, yeah, right. Were there any standouts outside of them that? Obviously the Wojtek situation is a conversation that I find very interesting, only because, one, like I said,
if you're a Polish nut hugger, that's why. No,
well, pretty much. He's not necessarily wrong there. A little bit rude. Sorry. Not necessarily wrong.
No, I thought that was pretty awesome, though. The whole, the fact that it was interesting because Zielinski and Wojciech were both in the final 8?
Quarterfinal, yeah,
quarterfinal. Yep, they played each other.
Had a chance, and they, it was interesting to see, Victor, have that opportunity to kind of step in and maybe distinguish himself. But who did he lose to? Did Victor lose to?
Wojtek. He lost to
Wojtek in the quarterfinal. Yeah.
And he never stood a chance. I mean, he
absolutely pummeled. But okay, he got a lot of rolls against him.
He got a lot of rolls. Like Wojtek maybe made 5 mistakes the entire set.
No, and he's one of those guys too that I don't think gets enough credit for how quality of a game he plays, because he's so just fundamental. You know what I mean? Nothing.
He's like a robot.
He kind of ninjas away. He's kind of ninja his way through to the last stages of events. But once he gets there, he's solid. He showed it at the 10 ball, the World 10 ball. He won that. He showed it at the. I mean, if he gets late in the tournament, he gets deep into tournaments.
Dangerous.
He's not scared to snap him off. Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, if you look back the last 3, at least 2 of the last 3 World Championships, he's been in the finals of one and the semifinals of another. Yeah. He lost to Shane last year in the finals of the World 8 ball.
Yeah.
And he's won. I mean, he's won a World 10 ball.
Did you say he lost to Shane in the finals?
The World 8 ball.
No, Sanjin did.
Oh yeah, sorry. You're right. He lost to Shane in the semifinals. You're right. Yeah. He beat Shane, or Shane beat him in the semifinals last year. Yeah.
But when he goes deep, he goes very deep. And he's
a class player.
Class player. He's got bottle. He's got more bottle than people give him credit for.
Exactly, and super gracious too. He released a statement or whatever, and it's really nice to hear his thoughts.
But I think that it's something you have players like that in every sport. It's a lot of players, they need to dislike their opponent, and if you don't have something to dislike about your opponent, then it makes it difficult for you to get that fire in your belly when you're playing them. And Wojtek is one of those guys. You sit opposite thinking, I want to hate you. I need something to motivate me, to get me fired up. But you're such a nice guy, I can't think of anything. And I think players maybe have a difficulty thinking, fucking hell, it's Wojtek. Yeah, such a nice guy. I'd feel bad if I beat him or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. A lot of other players, it's very easy to get motivated and to get ready for a match against them. You think, well, he's a prick. He did this last week or last month. Yeah. Yeah. But I think rather than standouts, you talk about standouts going far in the tournament. I think the standouts are the ones who didn't perform and didn't get themselves into the last stages. I think that's the main standouts. There was a lot of guys that are going to think, Jesus Christ, here comes the first $1 million prize fund, and I'm going in there and I've completely shit the bed. And there was a few of them that have got to be sitting at home thinking, Jesus Christ, I've got to wait another year to get another shot at this. Really, really disappointing results for a few people.
Well, I guess we were going to go over this. Some of the people that went 2-0 in the event, some of the standouts, I guess. Carlo Beato. Demetrius Lakatos.
Albin didn't make the 64, did he?
Albin won his second match and then went out.
Thorsten Holman went 2-0.
Yeah.
Loho Sum, although he hasn't really had much success since the Masters a couple of years ago. Tobias Bongers, he was having a pretty good run of it recently. Yeah. He went 2-0. Sam Henderson, easily the best player in the country. He went 2-0. Sorry, buddy. We love you.
He needs to concentrate more on his diet.
Yeah. Mieszko Fortunski, he was just in the finals.
Yeah, crazy. Capito as well didn't perform well there.
Tough tournament, man.
Well, it is a tough tournament. It's got to be, but it's you either rise to the occasion or you shrink. And there's guys there that had form going into it, and guys here that didn't have form going into it. And it seems the ones that had a bit of form going into it, whether it was because it's the World Championships, because it's so much money, it separates the men from the boys. The bums start going, ooh, 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 this is big money. This is what we've been waiting for. And then you're scared of failure, and other guys, even Shane didn't perform. Shane's gone there. He's openly said for the last 3 or 4 months, everything is World Championship, World Championship, World Championship. He started to get into flow at the Premier League. He started to play really, really well. Everyone's thinking, here's Shane. He's right there. He's focused on this one goal to go to Saudi Arabia and win that World Championship or go very, very deep. What did he get? Last 32? That's not good enough.
Last 16, I think.
16.
Last 16. Probably his worst performance in any matchroom event for, I don't know.
Oh, last 16. It's.
He's always last 16 or deeper, isn't he? When did he get last 16?
You're saying like this is like the worst event he's ever had. He's right on pace with what he does. Hey,
he's not gone to Saudi Arabia to get last 16. He's not happy.
Nobody did. Everybody went there to try to win it, right?
There's a lot of players there that would have loved last 16. They'd have been delighted with last 16.
Sure. But it's,
I would have.
the ranking points alone for last 16. What was last 16? The last 16 would have been 15,000 or something, would it?
I think it should have been more than that because I think the last.
No, I think it was 27 for the 8. It was 27 for the final 8.
Yeah,
so it was like 13 to 15, something like that.
There's great players in there, man.
Of course there is. It's a World Championship. There should be.
That's why I'm saying, you can't. Sure, you're right. He wants to do better. Is he disappointed with last 16? Sure. But as a pundit, as somebody who's talking about the event, you can't say just because this person wanted it more than somebody else for 3 months longer that they're entitled to anything.
I'm talking about expectation. You're not putting you're. It doesn't matter. Whatever. You can argue with me if you want. Shane's gone there. Last 16 is not good enough for Shane Van Boning the form he was in.
Sure, I'm not arguing with that.
Albin was Albin not getting to the last 64. Bet on that. Go ahead and bet on that in any event that Albin doesn't make the last 64. You're not betting on it, are you?
No, of course not.
No. Well, there you go. These are guys that are going to feel like they've shit the bed at the moment that they really needed it to happen, or they wanted it the most, and it didn't happen for them. Simple as that.
I'm not going to argue with that. I'm just saying from if you look at the player's perspective on it, then sure, yes, they shit the bed. Probably for their their words. But I don't think, as a pundit who's stepping back looking at the event, that do I think Shane Van Boening is better than the final 16? Sure, but I mean I would expect him to probably average in between the final 16 and the final 8 on average. But I don't think that the final 16 is a bad performance for him. I just is what it is. Anybody else in the field that you guys were surprised? I mean, obviously we just talked about a few that were surprised. I mean, Carlo Beato, that's a surprise going 2 and out. Shane Van Boening, sure. Albin Ocean not making the final 64. On the flip side, is there anybody that we obviously that we watched along the way and they did great and we're excited for them? Any standouts for you guys? Sam?
Not really. The guys that I feel there was no really standouts that got in my opinion. Well, there was that AJ Manis. He got into the 64. He played really well.
Yeah,
he beat, who did he beat? Chang Jung Lin, I think.
Yeah, he had a great tournament. He reminds me a little bit of like Luat. Just his hands, his demeanor, his body type, like very long, like lanky float, but I mean, incredible player. Like reminds me quite a bit of Luat watching him play, even though he's got a little bit more structure than Luat, but just kind of that body type was kind of interesting to watch him play.
I'm still not sure who this the Joao Grillo is.
Oh, he's
Portuguese.
Great player.
His name pops up late in tournaments now and again. Good player, but nothing spectacular. He's a very, very good player in Europe, but he's not
made the last 16.
Yes.
Yeah, great player.
He's a very good player. But I mean, he's a player that's where would I rank him? Where would I put him within Europe? I'd put him round about. I'd put him under Fortune Speed. I'd put him round about. Yeah, what kind of level? A Mark Bijsterbosch kind of level.
It's hard to put. It's hard to put it. Mark Bijsterbosch might be the greatest player that like nobody gives any credit to in the entire world. Like the dude is constantly in the final 32, always in the top like 64.
Marco Tucher had a solid tournament also, and
if Tucher still lived in Europe, he'd be an absolute animal. But he's not getting the same competitive, the same competition living in New Zealand. So he's still playing very, very well, but he'd be a completely different animal if he was still in Europe.
Yeah.
He's one of the nicest guys on tour too.
Tucher,
you hang around.
Really nice guy. Yeah.
Just a hell of a nice dude.
He's
very fun.
He's got a desperately poor dress sense, but he's a nice guy.
He makes up for with great hair.
Yeah, and I mean, how impressive is it? I guess that we have the final 8 players. We have 3 of them as Filipinos and 2 of them as Polish players. Yet none of them made the finals.
Ignacio kind of came out as well. Had a bit of a coming out party too for people that don't know him. Ignacio plays so great that it's just like, it's really just a matter of him getting to these events more and playing. Kind of like Raga, you know what I mean? Where you're like, Raga kind of came out of nowhere and just had a great, coming out last year in matchroom events. But, Ignacio is every bit as talented, maybe more experienced.
And he likes to chalk up the pockets as well.
That was a dramatic kind of situation there, and it's interesting.
But is that a thing? Do you get extra slide if you? I always thought that any chalk on the rails would make them bounce, not slide.
It just depends on what, but maybe if it's a thick powder, you know what I mean. It makes the pocket or the rail a little softer.
Whenever anyone, they don't do it so much anymore, but when I used to play and people were powdering the cues and any powder got on the rails, it would make it spring, not slide.
Yeah.
I don't understand what.
I don't. I know that there's been several Filipinos in the recent history that have been accused of having like a spray that they put on the cue ball to make it react differently. I think in fact Niels Fine said something about it.
So they cover the silicon
at the U.S. Open last year,
and they put the silicon spray on their glove And then every time they pick the cue ball up, they're rubbing the silicon under the cue ball. And every time they run their hand along the rails, then they put silicon on the rails, and then the rails start to bounce and act funny.
Yeah, I've never heard the chalk one. I don't.
No,
Sam, have you heard anything?
the powder I've never heard. No.
Sam, you were on site. Did you hear anything more from that situation?
I wasn't there when that happened. We were on a plane, I think.
Yeah, I suppose that happened. The second to last day, third to last day.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I've never heard of that either. I've heard of the silicone spray that players, specific certain Filipino players have been accused of putting on the cue balls or the balls.
Not just Filipinos. It's happened in Europe as well.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, how do you even police that?
Well, in Europe, the player went to the organ. It was in the European Championships in the wheelchair division, funnily enough. And the player that was playing said that the cue ball's reacting funny, everything's reacting funny. And he said, I have my suspicions that my opponent is rubbing silicon with his glove on the rails. So the organization went to the player in question and said, stay where you are. We want to inspect your equipment. And they pulled the gloves out of his, and you feel it straight away on the glove. It feels very synthetic and very fibery kind of thing. And they knew straight away that he'd done it, and he admitted to it.
False action.
Yeah.
What's the ramifications? Is that an automatic forfeit?
I think he was banned for 5 years. Yeah. Maybe after a while, I think it was 2 years eventually or something like that. But he was banned, and
will you say names?
no. Yeah, but it won't matter to 99.9% of the people who are watching. It won't. Yeah. They won't know. But it has happened, and I know there are players who they take a little cloth with them and they'll clean the ball themselves, and it just puts a little layer of silicon on the ball, and it just reacts. It's basically for people who've got no stroke. you can draw the ball. You can draw the cue ball back length of table if you've got no stroke.
I know that was
what you use it for is if you've got a really old table, if your table's old and shitty, and you've got old cloth on it and old rails, if you put silicon onto your cue ball and onto your object balls, it reacts like a new table, or reacts closer to a new table. So the balls slide in, the balls react off the rail. You get it doesn't grip as much, and it's all sorts.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure if I should be saying this, but I do know that. Well, I do know that there's some American players that actually do that when they go to different places, so that they can actually get the conditions of the Mosconi Cup table down a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because that Mosconi Cup table is so slidey and it is so hot that the only way that you can truly get the same there it is right there. The only way that you can get truly that same level of environment or conditions is by using the silicone spray. So I actually do know of some players that will do that when they're preparing for the Mosconi Cup.
Yeah, it's not
just to try to get
the cloth on my table is getting a little bit old. So I was practicing. I think what was I practicing for? I think maybe for I don't know what I was practicing for, but I decided to put a little bit of silicone spray onto
probably
my
the European Open with my guess.
Yeah, just to try and get the conditions as close as possible to new table.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it in preparation and training.
Exactly.
The problem is, changing the match conditions mid-match, and
especially without alerting your opponents, right?
And the thing is, you can take a cloth like this and spray the silicone spray on, and it's on there for days. You can just keep wiping the cue ball, and it will always transfer silicone on. You don't have to keep spraying it. You spray it once in the morning, and you can go to a tournament, and this will last you all day, cleaning the white all day.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to take a silicone spray with you to a tournament. You can just take a cloth that's been sprayed with the silicone spray and just clean the cue ball now and again with your own cloth, and it transfers it onto the.
For what it's worth,
and even better, if you're playing in a tournament, it's got referees with the white gloves. If you really cover the cue ball, I've seen this happen before as well. Just before the start of a match, really, really cover the cue ball in silicone spray, and then say to the referee, "Can you clean the cue ball for me?" They go with their white gloves, they clean the cue ball, and then their gloves are covered in the silicon. So every time you say to them, clean the cue ball, it's another layer of silicon that goes on the cue ball. And you're never cleaning the cue ball yourself. Nobody can say it was you that did it. It's the referees clean the cue ball, and every time they're doing it, they're putting another clean layer of silicon on the cue ball.
Well, I know what I'm going to do next time I have to play against Sam.
But trust me, you've got to know to play with a cue ball that's all oiled up on silicon. You've got to know what you're doing, because it's not an easy game to play.
Yeah, but for what it's worth, I know that match was Jeffrey and Jonas. There was kind of like some back and forth, and it got a little bit chippy, and people were trying to shark each other and all that. For what it's worth, I played Jeffrey once at the U.S. Open like 3 years ago, and perfect gentleman. You know what I mean? No issues from me. Of course, this is a much more consequential match now, payday and all that stuff. So who knows? But and Jonas I've played before, and also no issues. But they were kind of sharking each other, trying to.
I think you're in a big tournament like that. You're always going to have these little matches that will happen.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that there's any question that Jonas definitely was trying to pull a move hill though. I mean, and maybe he felt like he was warranted based off of earlier on in the match, but there's no way that I ever look at that hill and say that Jeffrey wasn't pulling a move. And it worked because Jonas was dead out. I mean, he had to work to not run out of that rack, and he didn't get out.
I would say Elliot Sanderson had a great tournament too. He showed, I mean, the times that I saw him play, he looked solid, very steady, and probably played one of the best tournaments I've seen him play, and was up, I think, 10-8 against Meling, and then broke dry and never shot again. So, that was, I think, to get to final 16, and tough one to swallow. You break dry and then you don't get to shoot again. But you're on the hill and breaking. So
he's making progress. He's getting more and more results, more and more positive results.
Yeah.
He gave himself a time limit to see whether or not this was something he wanted to do. He's obviously got the talent. We've all known that for many years. He's got the talent. And I think there's enough positive signs for him to go another year, another 2 years, another 3 years, or whatever.
It was Meling that was last Englishman standing, I think, but it was
last
him.
standing was Meling, yeah. Be better.
Meling had a great tournament also, I think. Again, which didn't he have like?
Meling's just Meling though. He's now off to China. He's playing Chinese 8-ball, and then he'll be back in the UK playing English 8-ball within the next week or two. It's just, it doesn't matter what piece of wood you give him to play with. He just goes and plays great, cool. It's stupid, really.
Yeah, he's crazy talented. Yeah.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see if he would have never played any other discipline besides whatever one he decided to focus on, whether it's snooker, English 8-ball, or 9-ball. I mean, he's never won a world championship. Do you think that would still be the case if he just focused on one discipline?
Yeah, I think he's won an 8-ball world championships.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Well, yeah, I guess I'm talking about 9-ball pool now. Like, if you would have just focused on 9-ball pool and never played any of the other ones, do you think he'd have a world championship, or some other major event?
I'll put it this way: if he had concentrated on only one, he'd have won more at that one than he's won at the rest of them combined.
I think it's hard not to say that, right?
I don't know.
There's always got to be an adjustment period.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which one it was.
I like the idea of multiple disciplines and having dexterity and all of them. I just think it's a matter of focus and energy, and whether or not because he's doing them all at once. You know what I mean? Which is tough. But as far as like just your resources and mental stamina and all that other stuff, you know what I mean? But he's definitely got skills that other people don't have, and that's evident when you watch him play, and that's an advantage. So it's really just a matter of time, rolls line up right, and you know what I mean? He comes to play his best game feeling good. Apparently he had gout or something in his foot, so was managing that and still got final 16. So it's just him just keep showing up. I think, you know what I mean? He's crazy talented and training, because he said he hadn't really practiced 9-ball, so that's up to him.
He doesn't practice anything.
Yeah, so that's
He'll go now to China, take his Chinese 8-ball cue, and the first ball he will hit will be the first ball of the match, his first match. He won't even go and practice beforehand, and he'll come back to the UK. He'll maybe hit a couple of balls, and then he'll go and play English 8-ball. He just doesn't. That's the thing. It's ridiculous, really. I combine this with English 8-ball over here in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And I need at least half an hour on the table before I get the feel of the balls back, even just slightly the feel of the balls back. He just walks on any table. It doesn't matter. You could blindfold him and take him to a table and then say, right, hit a ball. And it won't matter which one it is. He just knows exactly what he's going to do and how it's going to work for him.
I think that's less to do with how many disciplines he's playing and more to do with his habits.
It's going muscle. It's muscle memory, 100%. He just knows it. He gets that cue in his hand. He knows exactly how it's going to react.
Sure, and that might be enough for him. But if he knows that there's a lack of quality in his preparation, that if he were to really laser in and focus on, maybe he'd get the most out of himself, then that's up to him to deal with. And that's probably why he hasn't won more world championships. And it has nothing to do with the fact that he's playing multiple disciplines, because those habits carry over. And if he just treats it like, well, I'm talented enough to just go and do it, then he's talented enough to go deep and maybe not get the most out of himself. So that's a different conversation, I think. And something that if I was close to Chris, I would say, that's up to you to kind of wrestle with and think about, because you can always lean. It's a very comfortable thing to lean back on I didn't practice, you know what I mean? Or, to justify getting good enough, you know what I mean?
He does say it a lot.
Yeah.
He overemphasizes whenever he's interviewed. He overemphasizes how little he practices.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then you get what you get. And you can't really be upset. But maybe when you are upset, it's not so much you're upset about your result. You're maybe upset at yourself. You know what I mean? And how many times are you going to do that to yourself? Shortchange yourself and not give yourself the honest chance by actually. And for him, he probably doesn't even need that much. Maybe like a week or two, of like really dialing in, maybe playing some challenge matches or.
Well, that's what I was going to say. He needs somebody to play against.
Yeah. So finding whoever that person is that challenges you in every discipline.
Find that in the UK.
Yeah. Maybe it's him and Darren. Maybe it's him and Shaw or Elliot or whoever. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it would have to be him and Elliot, I guess. But I don't see them getting together very often to play.
Is Mark Gray not playing much?
Mark Gray will play if it's close to him and there's a little bit of money to be won, but he's not really doing much anymore. He basically spends most of his time complaining about the 9-ball situation now rather than playing it.
Yeah, he's in that side of the.
Imran Majid is probably the best option, I would feel like.
Yeah, but Chris and Imran playing each other. I mean, it might be good for Chris's game, but it's not going to be some. Yeah. Chris has to enjoy himself while he's playing, and it's got to be a bit.
Well, but those two are the closest.
Get bogged down into it, he just wants to.
He travels to Asia so much. I'm surprised he doesn't have like some people out there while he's there to kind of spar with, like him and the Cole brothers or something, something like that would be good for him, I think.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
I need to hit the road, to be honest.
Yeah, there's only one other thing that I wanted to discuss, and that was the WPBA event, because, of course, that happened as well. The Raxx Mezz Invitational. Wei Su Chen gets back on the winning ways and beats Christina Kachi in the finals, 8-6, and then the finals 10-8.
Yeah, lady Christina's been playing triple tough lately, and she's just like grinding, you know what I mean? Really relentless and playing better and better, and yeah, she's on the clock to win one of these. And she keeps getting close. Yeah. So
Kelly Fisher gets third place.
Can't remember the last time you said that.
Yeah, you're normally first or second, right?
Yep, she's the wall, for a lot of these girls. But yeah, Christina.
She must have had something else planned during the finals.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Well. I guess with that, we can probably close off another week. Sorry, we've been a little bit slower than we normally have been lately, but I was in Vegas for a couple of weeks playing myself. And then, by the time you get back and get caught up on everything, it's a little bit tough. So, Pinozo just posted no World Cup of Pool for 2024.
I heard that as well.
What's that? No World
No
Cup.
World Cup of pool this year.
Really?
Wow, I heard they were struggling with dates or venue or something like that. I don't know.
Really?
Bummer.
I love that event.
Yeah, it's.
I was excited to see if Fedor was going to be on the team.
Well, yeah,
I think Fedor had commented that he did not want to break up the Sky and Shane pairing thing. So I think he probably would have opted out.
What I will say is, you've got to be a WNT pro. How many countries are available? Look at the WNT ranking list and see how many countries could play. If you need 2 players who are WNT pros per country, count them up and see how many countries there are. But let's just say they can't find a venue. unless you have a USA A and B, and you could have a UK A and B, I guess. You could have a Poland A and B. You could have, I don't know, but I don't think there's very many countries who can actually play if you have to have 2 WNT pros in there.
I mean, I'm looking at. I don't know where this was apparently posted to, but I'm looking at Michael's page and it was not posted there. And on my understanding, he's on a flight right now, so I doubt that that's actually true. I mean,
I'd already heard that there'd be no World Cup of pool this year. I didn't really want to.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that it was potentially, but. Oh, okay. They posted it's at Billiards Digest, so.
I see.
All right.
Bummer.
We'll find out. We'll get an official statement, I guess. It'd be a shame. It's a good event. I enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. I wanted to give a little bit of shine to the ladies. I know that that's a big event, and they have another big event going on this week. So WPBA is still going strong. Wish they would do their marketing a little bit better, but that's neither here nor there. I wish I would do my marketing better too. So, Sam, thanks for joining us again, buddy.
Yeah, I do have one quick question though, real quick.
Go ahead.
Are you guys still doing your guys' bet, the 700 Fargo bet with the Stratosphere?
Well, it doesn't really make much sense if we're not in Vegas, I guess, huh?
Well, no, but you could still do it.
We could still jump off something in Orlando.
Just jump off a building.
There's a.
The loser has to go to Disneyland and hump Mickey.
There's a big no. You would get arrested.
That's the loser. That seems like a winner for me.
There's a ride. There's a ride where you can strap into like a vest, and they take you up to like a super tall spot, and you unpin yourself and you swing like 150 feet. It's pretty awesome.
Well, there you go. There you go.
So, but that doesn't scare me. I think that'd be fun.
Sky coaster is called.
You're doing that, Nate.
What's your Fargo, Nate?
I barely ever play anymore pool. I think I'm at the same thing. I think I've only played like 5 events since then.
683, or did you go down?
682, 683, something like that. I don't know. I haven't looked for a while. What am I? Are you saying this because you're looking at my way down?
I'm trying it.
He's buying tickets for the Sky Coaster. That's what he's doing.
681.
You're 681, so you went down. Oof.
Yeah, maybe a point or 2. I haven't hardly played any events though.
Looks like you're going on Sky Coaster.
Of course he is. He's not. He never has been and never will be a 700 Fargo player. Come on.
It's going to be a late push of Salado matches coming up.
Man.
Late push of Salado.
If you're going to come on this podcast, you have to know a little bit about the game.
he's gonna ram in those Salado matches.
I mean, I'm looking at my Fargo.
All of a sudden, he's going to be playing.
I've played 3 events since
these
mid-February.
750 Fargo players and beating them 9-0. Yeah.
I've played 3 events since mid-February.
I've played less.
Didn't you just play like some big national event?
Yeah, but that's the Dutch Championships. I win them every year.
Oh,
soft action.
It's old guys. You know?
Yeah, well, good for you. All right, let's close it up for this week. Really quickly, I'll give a shout out to our sponsors that continue to make this happen. Jacoby Custom Cues, and here we are. I always love those cues. You ever see those cues in person, Ray?
I have a friend of mine who has had and played with real fancy Jacobys for a long time, and they're just beautiful. The wrapless cues are great, really nice.
They're incredible. Yeah, the stuff that they do is incredible. All right, so yeah, thank you to Jacoby Custom Cues. If you want to get your hands on a Jacoby as well, we are a dealer here at Cue It Up, so you can send us a message. We can get you hooked up. Also, Insight Performance Coaching, Billiards Digest, Salado, Digital Pool, Onboard Sportswear, Horo Tips, and Littman Lights. Thank you to all of our sponsors that allow us to keep doing what we're doing over here. And thanks for all the people who join the show and make it happen, including you, Ray. It's awesome to have you.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yep.